What's up everybody, Jack of Many Trades back here again with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite products to come out in recent years, which is the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I wanted to first start off by showing you a case that I've been using to take this around to any gigs that I've had recently. This is from Pure Outdoor. You can find this on Amazon. I'll throw the link up in the description. But it is a very rugged case and will definitely keep your Quad Cortex nice and secure. It's also waterproof to some degree, so you don't have to worry if you spill something on it. Opening up the case, we can see the Quad Cortex inside. It also has room for my wireless guitar system, the Mission SP1 expression pedal for the Quad Cortex, also a couple of TRS cables, the power cable for the Quad Cortex, MIDI cable, and underneath the Quad Cortex itself, I have a audio extender and a couple of other miscellaneous cables like USB-C to USB-B for recording purposes, as well as the charging cable for the two wireless guitar system units. Here is the Quad Cortex all booted up on the main screen. It'll bring you to the last preset that you used when you booted up for the first time. Now, I wanted to talk first of all about pricing on this. So this, when I bought it all the way back in 2020, I pre-ordered it. This cost me $15.99, but as they started shipping these guys out, they had to raise the price because there were chip shortages starting and a lot of other manufacturing difficulties. So the current price is $18.99. However, I didn't pay that because I secured the lower price to start with. But just so that way you guys know, if you want to pick one of these up today, it's going to be $18.99. This is definitely a really solid piece of equipment, so if you can get your hands on one and you can afford it, I would definitely recommend buying one. Another very important aspect of this for gigging musicians and people who create music for a living is the input-output options. As you can see, the Quad Cortex has a lot. So right here you have your 12 volt 3 amp in. You have a USB-B port. You have two expression pedal ports, so you can plug in your foot switch on the expression pedal and the expression pedal itself, or you can plug in two expression pedals. Whatever it is that you prefer to use, you have those options. Additionally, you have MIDI in, MIDI out. You have XLR outs, you have a left and a right channel, so you can do stereo. This also has its own effects loop, so you have two sends and two returns. Additionally, you have 1/4 inch outs, so you have a left and right channel. You also have your capture out, which is used for doing neural captures, and you have a headphone jack. And of course, you have your inputs, so this is a combination XLR or 1/4 inch input, so you can use a microphone or you can use a guitar, and this can run two of those at the same time. Additionally, you can run even more instruments if you plug into the return port. The specs on the Quad Cortex are a quad-core Shark processor. This is a custom processor made pretty much just for this device. Does a really good job of handling all of your audio processing needs. Additionally, this has a 7-inch multi-point touchscreen with 1.8 millimeter thick glass, so if you are using this as a footboard playing live, you're not going to have to worry about shattering the glass or anything. It's really solid, so don't worry about that. There are 11 rotary foot switches on the front, so as you can see, these not only click in, but they also twist, so you can actually manipulate parameters up here on the screen with these rotary knobs. Additionally, this unit is a full aluminum construction, so it is really rugged, really heavy duty. This also has Wi-Fi built in on board. Unfortunately, it's only 2.4 gigahertz. It doesn't do 5 gigahertz, so just keep that in mind. Also, because of the aluminum body, one of the things that can be a little frustrating is that the signal strength that you can get from this versus something like your cell phone is night and day. This has much worse signal performance, so you want to be pretty close to your router if at all possible. As far as the weight on this, it's sitting at 4.2 pounds, so it is a little bit heavy, but it's not anywhere near as bad as carrying around a 40-pound amp. So this thing also has a really nice feature called Neural Capture, and what this feature allows you to do is to take your devices, whatever they may be, whether it's a pedal or a full-blown amp around with you, by copying its characteristics into this device. It does a really good job. It tries to emulate as best as possible how the human ear perceives sound and match it, so that's a really great feature to have. Additionally, this has the Cortex Cloud web application for editing and downloading new patches from the community. You can also upload your patches and save your device configuration using the Cortex mobile app. So there's a lot of connectivity, a lot of options with this, and there's more coming in the future. Currently we are sitting at Cor OS 1.4.1, which is the newest as of today's date, but they are currently working on bringing the brand new Cor OS 2.0 to market, which is going to be a free update, as everything is for the Quad Cortex, to bring hybrid mode and a couple of other really nice features that will completely overhaul the file system. So I'll be sure to update you guys when that releases. But for right now, I'll show you on Cor OS 1.4.1. So walking through the interface on the front, we can start off here. You have a power button, so if we push this is a capacitive touch button, so it doesn't actually move, but it does respond to touch. You get a couple of options here. So first you have lock touch screen and master volume knob. If we press this will basically lock out the touch screen from working. So if you're playing on stage and you worry about touching anything on the touch screen or changing the volume, you can put this mode on and this will completely eliminate that. As you can see, if I rotate this volume knob up or down, it'll show me how much offset there is, but you can see that the main number, the green number, stays constant. So to get out of this mode, all you have to do is push and hold power button until the lock icon disappears. Now touchscreen is active again, volume knob is also active again. So moving right along, you have a row where you can put your effects. So right here I have a gate set up. What's nice is that every time that you go to edit an effect, it'll bring up a touchscreen version of the controls, but it will also light up in front of all of the pedals that are active that you can use to change parameters. So with this, if I turn, you can see that the threshold changes. Here the attack changes, hold, release, and range. So what's really nice is that you can edit your things using physical knobs rather than just using the touchscreen, which is really cool, especially if you're more used to using knobs than you are a touchscreen. It's a good feature to have. Additionally, you can see up here in the corner, I'm currently on stop mode, so that means that if I push buttons, I can have them assigned to one or more of these effects. So if I push A here, you see that the distortion turns off. If I push B, you can see that this group of delay and reverb turns off. Pushing C, the neural capture turns off. So this is what I typically use when I'm playing live. You just get more granular control over your scene. The only difficulty is at the moment, since the hybrid mode hasn't yet been released, you can't change large groups of things all at once. So for instance, you may want to switch the channel of your amp, but in order to do that, you would have to turn off one of the amp blocks and then turn on the other one at the same time, and that's difficult to do in stop mode, if not impossible. So what they're going to be doing is releasing the hybrid mode very soon, which will pretty much eliminate that problem, because you'll be able to go through all of the different scenes that you set up. And speaking of scene mode, as you can see up here in the top right corner, there's a little yellow box that has an A on it. That tells me that I am on the A scene of this particular preset. So if I press here, or if you push these bottom two buttons on the right side together, it will change your mode. So right here we're on scene mode, and as you can see, A is lit up. So if we switch over to scene B, I don't have anything different on scene B than any of the other scenes, but you can change anything that you want. You can push and hold on any of these parameters and manipulate them, and that will be a scene specific change. So as you can see, I just set the gain a little bit higher here. So if I push the A scene, you can see that it went right back to where it was. And then if I go back to B, you can see it changes. So additionally, if you wanted to bypass this, you can push and hold on the power button here, and you'll get a little 4-box icon that shows up. So if we push that to bypass it, and then we push A, you see that it comes back on, and then on B it's bypassed. Additionally, if it's a little bit too slow for you to open up a menu and then push the power button to bypass, they have added the ability to double tap on any of these blocks to bypass or activate them. So double tapping here bypasses it, double tap again activates it. So this is a really nice feature to have. It speeds up your workflow for designing new presets. Neural DSP has come out and said that they're working on getting a computer version of their app up and running so that you'll be able to edit all of what you see here using a computer, but that's not available yet. So hopefully it'll be coming soon. I know a lot of people really like that from devices like the Fractal and the Helix, but this doesn't currently have that feature. So if that is a drawback for you, you may want to look elsewhere, because it's really important to buy something for what it is currently and not what it will be. So this is how I typically have my Quad Cortex set up. I use the Mission SP1, which has the Quad Cortex branding on the front, and I use these two TRS cables. They have to be TRS cables. They can't be just regular guitar cables. Regular guitar cables can't transmit the signal from this pedal to the Quad Cortex. And so I have output 1 plugged into expression pedal 1, output 2 into expression pedal 2. For the SP1, output number 1 is linked to the expression itself. So as you can see, as I rock this, it turns up and then turns down for the wah. And then if I press in on the toe switch, it activates it. So that's one of the ways that you can use this, is having the expression 2 work as the switch and set that to bypass, and then have your expression pedal 1 output, which is the foot switch itself, control how much or how little of an effect that you have. Additionally, you can set parameters, controls on what the minimum and maximum value allowed are. So that's another thing that's pretty nice. More on how I set this up. I have a adapter, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch headphone jack adapter, so that I can listen to what I'm playing. I have my wireless guitar system. This is from Carvin. Obviously, as I had just showed, the expression pedal 1 and 2 outputs. I have a USB-B cable, which ends in USB-C, which I have going into my MacBook Pro. And so that's how I record everything into Logic. One other thing to note before we start getting into sounds is that I use the multi-out generally. The way that this works is it will basically put output to all of the outputs all at once. It'll do your 1 and 2 output, which are your XLRs. It'll do 3 and 4, which are your quarter-inch outs, and it'll do USB 3 and 4. So if you do want to use other USB outputs, you can slide down and use those specific ones. But with multi-out, it's basically just your stereo XLR, stereo quarter-inch, and stereo USB. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using a Fender USA-made vintage 1965 reissue Jazzmaster using the Carvin WG1 wireless guitar system into the Quad Cortex. I'm recording all of this through Logic, as you can see up on the screen right now, and where necessary I'll cut through to show you what's going on the Quad Cortex. Alright, one that I like to throw on first is the utility gate. So if you tap anywhere that's blank, it'll bring up your selection menu here, so you have all of these options to choose from. We'll choose utility, add in utility gate, and that drops it in right here. One thing that is a little frustrating is that the Quad Cortex will automatically assign anything that you put in to a pedal until all of the pedals are used up, and then it'll be up to you to sort of choose which ones you want to be as pedals and which ones you don't. For the gate, this is generally something I like to leave on indefinitely, so we'll actually go ahead right now and unassign that. So if you tap here where the foot switch icon is, you can say unassign, and now that's not assigned to a pedal anymore. You can see the light turned off. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is grab us an amp. So we'll go here to amplifiers. We're using a guitar, so we'll take that. And let's go with a nice we'll go with a UKC30, so this is going to be a Vox AC30. Now we need a cab, so we'll go again to guitar. And let's try a 210 jazz cab here. Alright, so let's hear what that sounds like. And then using the Jazzmaster's rhythm circuit. Now let's make this a little bit more of an interesting patch. So we'll start adding in some things like, let's throw on a reverb. As you can see, there's a lot to choose from here. Let's go with a shimmer reverb. It's always a nice one. You can also throw on perhaps a little bit of modulation. Let's go through here, show it's available. Let's go with a univibe. And let's put this before the reverb. And let's add in a delay pedal. Let's add in slapback delay. Alright, so let's see what that sounds like. Alright, so that univibe's definitely pretty intense. So let's try turning that down a little bit. Let's also turn the mix a little bit lower, maybe. Alright, I liked that shimmer reverb, so we'll leave that where it is. Maybe increase the mix a little bit. Increase the decay time to 10 seconds. And then the slapback delay, let's boost that up a little bit more. Alright, let's see how that sounds. Alright, cool. So now we have a brand new patch set up with some pretty cool effects on it. Let's see what this sounds like if we throw a little bit of overdrive on. So go here, guitar, and you know what, let's go for a little bit of fuzz face. Alright, so everything looks alright. Let's see how that sounds. Alright, now let's try playing a little bit softer, see what kind of variation we can get. Alright, so that's kind of a very basic preset for you guys, built from the ground up. Let's try something that I have already made in the past, put a little bit more time into. So let's go into this one here. Alright, so let's see what this sounds like. So that's a basic look at some of the things that you can do with the Quad Cortex. I'm also going to show off a little track that I put together that really showcases what you can do with the looper. So I'll have that as sort of background music for you guys to close out this video. I'll also put together a couple of other tracks that I made using the Quad Cortex so we can hear it in the context of a full band situation. So I want to thank you guys for your time, and I hope that this was of some value to you, especially if you're looking into buying one of these devices. I think it's a really great time for the Quad Cortex. They've been adding a lot of really good new features, like the brand new looper, the freeze pedal. They've been retooling a lot of the UI and design type features, just making everything a lot more streamlined. And I gotta say, it's really, really impressed me so far. Definitely a piece of tech that I do not regret buying. This has been amazing for recording and playing live. So definitely, if you have the money, I would go for this one. It's really portable, easy to use, and it sounds amazing. Additionally, you can even take your own gear with you using the Quad Cortex neural captures. So that's another thing that's really cool to have. Alright, so here I wanted to show you guys really quickly some of the sounds that you can get if you are using a neural capture of one of your real-life amplifiers. So as you can see here, I took this neural capture of my Fender Hot Rod DeVille 4x10 on the clean channel. And so let's play a little bit and hear how that sounds. So, as you guys can hear, that sounds really good, and I've played the Hot Rod DeVille side by side with this neural capture, and honestly, in the room, you really can't even tell the difference. It's so good. It's so close to what this amp sounds like in the room. I think Neural really knocked it out of the park with their algorithm to come up with a way to capture devices in the real world and have them still sound exactly like what you remember them sounding like. I've done this with amps like the Hot Rod DeVille, which I did using a microphone. So this is the cab and all. But if you do have an amp that can support a direct output, you can also do that. I did that with one of my bass amps, a Carvin BX 1600. So that's something that you also have the option of doing, is basically recording direct what your amp sounds like. And then you can use any of the built-in neural cabs or your own IRs if you want to load in any of those. So you can get a lot of tonal versatility out of this thing.